Hello and welcome to The Wilderness of Creativity, a platform for creatives and aspiring entrepreneurs to share their stories of survival. I'm your host, Lucy, and I'm so excited to share this creative journey with you. Working full-time and raising a small human has caused me to lose track and wander off-piste on several occasions, but I've followed the signs and here we are, surviving the wild and feeling more connected and inspired than ever before. Whether you're a seasoned adventurer or just starting out, I'm here to cheer you on as you navigate this journey. Together, we will uncover practical tips and strategies for cultivating creativity, explore different ways of prioritising our creative energy when there are people to please and deadlines to meet. And we'll also discuss how we can foster a mindset that inspires connection, innovation and play in our daily lives. Tune in every month to hear how my guests find focus in a world that never stops buzzing and discover what it really means to take the road less travelled. Subscribe now to listen to The Wilderness of Creativity and remember to like, share and leave a review to show your support. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, so come and join in with our conversations. And that's it. Welcome to your next adventure. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wilderness of Creativity. I'm your host Lucy and today I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to Jo Ferroni. Jo is the creative mind behind How Does She Do It, a platform for female business owners to connect and collaborate. Jo beautifully combines soul-centered business consultancy with her inspiring podcast, where she passionately champions authenticity. Her guiding philosophy of support, encourage and inspire are evident in everything that she does. Recently, Jo took a brave step by sharing her poetry on her Instagram account, Soul Voice by Jo Ferroni, transforming something that once felt quite daunting into a joyful outlet for her creativity. Join us today as we explore the power of networking and collaboration, uncover how we can tap into our creative spark, and discuss the importance of stepping back to recharge. Be sure to connect with Jo on her Instagram and let her know your thoughts about today's episode. And remember, this is all about building a community, so please share this episode with your friends and let's spread the wilderness. Okay, let's get to the episode.
Interesting in stepping back. Before I did it, I was worried about what would people think. Are they going to judge me? Are they going to be disappointed in me? You know, lots of people were coming to my networking events. I had a beautiful array of clients that I worked with one-to-one and in group setups as well, which I absolutely adored. And I also worried that people might think that I no longer love it or that I no longer want to serve. And so I felt a lot of responsibility actually, but then I had to go really deep inside of me and really kind of dive down to what I needed. What did Jo need in that moment? And actually Jo needed some breathing space. I needed to put as much energy and effort into looking into what I was craving, I guess, or lacking in that moment without the distraction of serving others. And I remember announcing it to my networking audience just before I paused. And I remember the look on their faces. They just didn't see it coming and they were quite alarmed. And I remember saying, this might be a couple of weeks, but this might be forever. I don't know. And that actually was really empowering for me to not feel that I had to put a time on it or had to make a promise to other people. And I found that really freeing. And I'm quite a perfectionist. I've spoken about it publicly before, not afraid to admit it, wish I wasn't quite so, but it felt really challenging to not give an exact parameter, I guess, around what I was talking about. But I really needed that time.
You know, you strike me as the sort of person that you just give so much energy and love and attention and intention to what you're doing. You talk about, you have this deep need to help people. Where does that come from?
That's a really good question, and I'm not even sure I've got a specific answer to it. I just love people.
Yeah.
I love connecting with and connecting other people as well. So I love bringing people together. The amount of collaborations and friendships and business ventures that have come out of people meeting at my networking events is extraordinary. And in fact, I can feel it in my throat now. It does make me emotional, and I probably don't know the half of it either. Sometimes I do speak to people and I'll say, "God, I didn't know you two were friends." And they'll say, No, Joe, we met at that event in Kingston back in, 2018 or whatever. That was your event, Joe. That was where we met, and that was where our friendship blossomed. And that's really special. And I'm just such a people person. I've always had customer service very high on my radar. I love looking after people and making them feel comfortable. And I don't know, I think I'm just a very empathetic person.
When I talk to people, there's a real sense of unearthing that goes on in the creative process. So I'd love to know what you've learned and what you're going to be bringing forward in September.
Wow, I love that. I've learned so much, and I think that because one of the main reasons, or one of the big reasons that I pressed pause with the business was also to write or work on writing my book, I feel that engaging in creativity has really helped me to have some awareness actually around how I was and how I might be. And I love that you've asked me this, because I haven't actually spoken this out loud yet, or really even computed it in my mind. But, what do I want to bring back? What learnings do I want to bring with me?
Yeah.
I want to return with a newfound self-belief in me. I realise that although I put myself out there and I host events and look after people in the different ways that I do, there was always quite a big, big chunk of self-doubt within me. Yet I didn't let that stop me from doing what I was doing. Having spent a lot of time writing, both the book, my journaling, and the poetry, which I've now amazingly braved sharing after so many years of writing, I feel like I have uncovered something, unleashed something inside of me. And I do think that my age has something to do with it as well, because now I'm in my late 40s. I just feel like I'm allowed to own it a little bit now. I'm almost giving myself permission to not hide, to sort of uncover more of me. And I've always been very transparent. I've always shared my ups and my downs through the podcast that I host, through my events that I host as well, and with my clients as well. I've never been someone that will go, everything's great and everything's rosy and I've got it all sorted, because I don't think that's real. So I have always been really transparent, and I've shared the ups and downs that I've been through, and certainly the anxiety and panic attacks that I have struggled with all my life as well. But now I feel, Joe, you're at an age, and you've written so much, particularly in this last year, but forever. But I think I've really uncovered something in me that just wants to unapologetically be there now. And I really hope that by bringing that new version of me back to How Does She Do It is going to in turn help other people do the same.
I just find it so inspiring to hear, somebody. Oh gosh, I'm getting emotional as well.
I am too.
Why is this happening?
I apologise. Let's let it out.
Wow.
Let it out.
Wow, this was not expected.
Tell me, what are you feeling now, my love? What are you feeling?
Because I also feel like I'm on a similar journey. I think that's what it is.
Oh.
I think that's what it is. The last few years have been really, really hard. This platform, I wanted to connect. I wanted to connect with people who are out there doing what they're doing. They're being creative. They're embracing their true self, their true authentic self. And by doing it, by listening to your story and to people's stories, my story is settling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like everything's kind of coming together and aligning. And I think that's what I'm feeling, is this alignment.
Yeah.
I think we all hold a lot of trauma, actually.
I also wonder whether with that settling, with that alignment comes clarity.
Yes, I think so. When you set up How Does She Do It?
Yeah.
What was the initial aim and intention? Has that changed at all? So I know I'm going off piece with my questions now, but I'm just going with it.
Let's do it. No. Yes, it has changed, and I would say that it's blossomed, it's evolved, it's grown with me. And my initial, what was the seed of How Does She Do It was to bring networking events to women that ran their own businesses or didn't, women that perhaps dreamt of stepping away from work, or perhaps they'd had children and they felt that work didn't align with their new sort of life. I wanted networking events for these women, but to be completely child friendly as well. So there was no one stuck at home wishing, dreaming, or perhaps not, because they'd almost written themselves off from doing anything amazing and inspiring. I wanted them all to be in a room together, and I wanted there to be babies there. I wanted there to be toddlers there, because that unlocked opportunity for people. And when I initially started as a virtual assistant to gain my confidence again, having left my corporate career and wanted to work alongside my son. There were no networking events where children were allowed, and it became an absolute military operation to try and work out how to get my son to nursery, which started at something like 10 in the morning, I think, and get 35 minutes to a different town where there was a networking event which started at 10. And it was really hard. And I had a husband that worked for himself from home, so we were able to make it work on the odd occasion. But there were so many people that didn't have that, and that was why How Does She Do It came to be. Can you draw upon any sort of collaborations that have happened that you've thought, yes, I did that? Yeah, I'll literally just pick two that have just sprung to mind as you've asked, and they happened at very different times. One was not long before I paused How Does She Do It, so quite recently, in the last 18 months, I'd say, and the other was at least 5 years ago. So I'll go with the most recent first, which was two ladies that came to my networking event in Guildford in Surrey for the first time. It was both of their first time, I believe, and I'm not entirely sure how either of them found me, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, just recently I saw that they were in Spain together, these two ladies, and they were on a retreat that one of them was hosting. And so I just dropped one of them a line and said, I didn't know, this is like I said earlier, I didn't know you guys were friends. And they're like, no, we met at that How Does She Do It networking event of yours in Guildford. I can't remember when it was, say 18 months ago. And she said, I've been a client of Jess's ever since. And now I've just been on her Spanish yoga retreat with her. And it sounds like they've got an amazing connection, and that's just been bubbling away since, and I had no idea. That's lovely. And another one that springs to mind, because I think it's because I've got that child friendliness in my head, as we've just spoken about it, it was at one of my Guildford events about 5 years ago, possibly even more like 6 or 7 years ago. And a young lady arrived with a baby on her shoulder. She was warm. She'd come up in the lift. We were up on the first floor. I remember she looked incredibly nervous, and you could see that she'd probably done a day's work already with the baby before she'd even arrived at the event. And I remember just going straight up to her and just wanting to make her feel comfortable, wanting to see if I could help with the baby, wanting to help her ease her nerves, because I could see that she was quite shy. And I remember her speaking that day, and she said, well, I haven't got business yet, but I really would love to become a virtual assistant, and this is what I do. And she didn't speak too much because she was, quite quiet. And well, it didn't take long for her to be completely enveloped by everyone. Everyone loved her, everyone looked out for her. And the amount of clients that she has then since gone on to get, not just from obviously she's got clients from elsewhere, but she has got clients from How Does She Do It, and she was my virtual assistant for many years until about the pandemic, when everything really quietened down for the public events and what have you. And she's an absolute dream, and everyone knows her name. And that it was that person that had this seed of an idea who braved to come along and speak it out loud. It was magic.
When you know that you've created the environment for those things to happen, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's bringing people together and, helping people to make those connections and empowering them. The value, so with your writing and with your poetry that you're sharing with us as well, where do they sort of show up, and how do you embrace them in your creative passions?
Well, I would say that if you were to slice me in half, you would see those values through and through me. They are just how I live and how I like to project myself, I guess, around or into this world. If we just go with support, encourage, inspire, which is my little tagline, obviously the support bit we've kind of talked about. It's just my way. The word support was for me to support others and for others to support one another. And encourage, again, we want to all encourage each other. That's kind of a sort of cyclical thing. We all keep encouraging each other. And inspire as well was for me to bring people to the events, to the podcast, to inspire others, but also for everyone in that room standing around in a circle. No one knows how inspiring they are and what someone is going to take away from even their tiny little introduction that they're feeling really awkward and sensitive about. And so going on to the poetry, I don't know how it's ended up like this. And I think it is because, like I say, if you slice me in half, these values are just part of me. I feel like my poetry supports and encourages and inspires as well. And and it's just beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Because I wrote the poems because I love writing. And I wrote the poems because those words came from my heart. And it's only because a friend, approximately 4 weeks ago, pretty much dared me to... Well, before that, I met someone and they heard that I wrote. So they asked me to commission a piece for their business, which was huge. So that was about 3 months ago. And they said, if my clients like what they're reading, where can they find you online? And I drew a little bit of a blank and went, I'm not online for my poetry. So I had to basically get my bum in gear. And I mean, I've had a little note on my dressing table for, probably about 2 years with different ideas of what I could call my Instagram account for poetry if I ever shared them. And the irony is, when I decided I better get on with it and actually make an Instagram account, I think that note had blown off my dressing table because it wasn't there. And I just knew that I had to just do something. Something is better than perfect. And so 3.5 months ago, I started the Instagram. And then, as I say, my friend about a month ago dared me to print some of my work out. and that is that's what I did. She just said, just pick 8 poems, Jo, just pick 8 poems and we're going to put them together and we're going to print them out. And that is how it's come about. And going back to what I was saying, so the words came from my heart, from my soul. I never for a minute thought that anyone was going to read them. And yet this opportunity now for people to see them and, you know, connect with them and buy them if they want. It just was never part of the plan, but it's been the most beautiful experience ever. Because when I get to see someone, I'll say, "Oh, do you want to pick a card? I'd love to give you one." And they'll go through just the 8. It's only 8 of hundreds of poems, and you almost see their heart lurch when they find the one that is completely resonating with them, and it's icing on the cake to another level.
When something that you have created and put out in the world speaks to somebody else, you know, it's really special, and it's affirming. It's affirming that you are on the right path. And I think, you know, those little nods from the universe are always welcome. I think
they really are.
It's the little whispers. I'm finding that, you know, I'm getting sparks of an idea. I think that's what we need to be better at.
Yeah, I really wasn't very good at that. And I do think it's leaning into my writing, leaning into just allowing, that has really helped me notice those glimmers, those whispers. I love those words you just used. Yeah, I'm going to write a poem about that. That's, and I think we need, something I've written about a lot before, probably not shared publicly, is that the quieter we get, the more we can hear.
Oh, I love that.
And I just think there is so much power in that, and it is so opposite to what the outside world is really telling us to be and to do. But I'm very happy to be an incredibly quiet and well-behaved rebel in not allowing myself to get too caught up in the noise, in the busyness, in being on all the platforms. I can't tell you, all I really need in my life is my notebook. And I went away for 2 nights at the beginning of this week, as you know, because we had to postpone the podcast. And I left my most important daily journal at home, and it literally made my heart lurch. I had to go and buy a new journal because I can't default to my phone. I need to have pen on paper, and that's where I'm at peace.
That's really powerful, isn't it? Knowing what you need. I try to get up early in the morning. Like you, that the quiet. Yeah. I like the quiet of the house in the morning before my little boy gets up, which I can't really guarantee a time. So sometimes I will get 5 minutes, sometimes I'll get an hour, and that is bliss.
Yeah, I remember that time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the older I get, the quieter I get. I looked at your post, your Instagram page, and there was the tree. And I have a tree literally right outside the conservatory, and I just love the green and, you know, the quietness, the stillness, I think.
Yeah, you seem very zen, I can
tell
that you're at, I can just, there's a real peacefulness, a real chilledness coming from you. You've got an amazing energy. Well, you're clearly in the right place for you.
Underneath the desk, there's these little legs
and let's remember that's what we all are like. It's not just us, is it? It is. No. Everyone will resonate with that.
Yeah. So a bit of a crazy, exciting start to the week, it seems.
Yeah. It's all been happening. So I think that I don't know about you, but being a parent as well as being a creative soul, it really does mean that life can be, it's not just all the same all the time. And, you know, I mean, that's parenting, isn't it? Without thrown the creativity in. You know, you've got all sorts of great stuff, tough stuff, out of the blue stuff. And we're very adaptable. We try to be very adaptable. We can be absolutely exhausted and frustrated at times. But if I can carve out time to write, even if that is writing about feeling really lacking in confidence or really frustrated about the way that something went, I just think that it's a way of processing, because if I don't take the time to process, I think I would just be like a pressure cooker and just get very I think I'd really struggle.
No, I hear you on that. I was very jealous about the fact that you'd gone to the Happy Place. Is it called the Happy Place?
Happy Place Festival. Yeah. You're going to come with me. Come with me next year.
I want to be there. It looked amazing. I know you've only just posted some photos, but yeah, tell me about that, please, because it just looks amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am definitely... I was blown away by it, and I knew I've wanted to go for about the last couple of years, and for one reason or another I didn't. And so this year there was no question I was going. I bought the ticket really early, took my friend along, the one who dared me to print the cards, and actually she dared me to print the cards to take to Happy Place. She was like, Jo, what are you gonna, when people ask you what you do, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, oh, maybe my poems. And she's like, oh, okay, you better take some then. So that was really nice, because what was beautiful about Happy Place was that like-minded people were literally every which way you looked. Everyone was kind, everyone was supportive, everyone smiled and enjoyed the experiences as a collective. I'm going to use your word there, as a collective. And it was so personal. It wasn't tiny, but obviously it wasn't Glastonbury. It was a really good size, and felt busy but beautifully so. And it was just like being in heaven for me. You got to hear people being interviewed. So I watched Fern Cotton do a live interview for the podcast with Rachel Stevens, and hearing someone from S Club 7 who, years back, well, let's be honest, we've all bopped to S Club 7 for forever. But to hear someone get quite vulnerable, that was really useful. And I was loving watching the way that Fern Cotton, podcasted, how she interviewed. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm that different. I'm quite pleased with myself, because she's like proper. And just, whenever you were at another part of the festival, you were creating new connections with people. You were sharing in the love for what you were hearing. You were sharing in the inspiration. We got to go to book signings, so we met Fern Cotton, Donna Ashworth, Kirsty Gallagher. It was, quite something. So much so that I decided the next morning I had to go back for a second day. So on my way to London, I bought a ticket and went back for more. And
wow,
yeah. I'd also like to add in that when you allow yourself to do something that you really want to do and you really are passionate about, that's when magical moments happen, when you put yourself there. So rather than thinking, oh, I'd love to do that, one day I'm going to do that, one day I'll give myself permission to do that. If you actually just do it and don't feel guilty for doing it. Although my son, who I was meant to be watching him in a cricket match in London that Sunday, I said to him, are you sure you don't mind me doing this instead of coming to watch you? And he said, I'm very disappointed in you, Mum. I'm not entirely sure I'm ever going to get over it. And I went, oh, and he's like, I'm joking, Mum, go do it. little monkey.
I know. Testing your resilience right there.
Exactly, because he knows how guilt-ridden I can feel at the best of times. But, when you allow yourself, it really is about that permission piece, allowing yourself to just go and immerse yourself in something you're going to love. Beautiful things can happen.
Do you have an idea of where you would like your poetry to take you?
What I see happening with the poetry is more about what I see happening with me, and that is me allowing myself to shine and be who I really am and who I'm proud of being, without holding myself back and telling myself, well, you're the introvert sister, and you were never the one that was up there on the stage. It was always your sister, kind of thing. And these things from our childhood can really stick with us. They can lie quite dormant for a while, but then they'll jump up and bring you down again a bit. And it's not that anyone has ever told me I can't shine. It's just, I was the quiet, shy, introvert sister. So I'd like to allow the poetry to get out there more to people that need it. I'd love to put together a book. I think I'd like to self-publish a book of day-to-day poetry, actually, which if I was brave enough, I could get going on that yesterday.
Yeah, almost like daily affirmations, like every day of the year I could turn to a new page and I would be able to read a new poem, and that would set the intention for the day. I love that. Added
to that, you've basically called it. I'm producing a box set of poetry affirmations, so it will be about 50 or a bit more small cards with poetry, a poem, an affirmation that will, you can either draw at random, or you can, search through and find that one that you definitely need that day. And so, it's going to be a beautiful box set, a little bit like an oracle card box set, but with my poems on. So
that sounds beautiful.
I'm excited for that. I would buy that.
Yeah. I would totally buy that. I mean, I do have my You Got This card.
Oh, I love those.
Which I use with all of my guests. So we will
good,
do
because
if you don't mind.
I've never owned that set, but I've given it as a gift to people, so that'll be cool, exciting.
I'll do the cards.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I sometimes get some affirmation cards out at my events, actually. I've got photos of people drawing them off, picking one off the table, not knowing what it's going to be. And then so often they just are exactly what the person needs to read.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think, it's about meeting people where they are, and sometimes you need to use words, sometimes you need to use cards, sometimes you need to use music. Sometimes you need to use an image, something. So
definitely
I will shuffle the cards and you can tell me to stop, and then I'll just take the card from the top.
Stop.
Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so the card that's come up for you is believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable.
Well, thank you so much. That's just incredible.
That's perfect.
Because I'm definitely trying to believe in myself more. So thank you.
We started this conversation talking about, you kind of connecting and releasing that self-doubt. Well, that card's perfect because it's telling you that you need to believe in yourself. You have everything that you need within you. So you just need to believe in it.
How special. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my voice for the first time in a long time.
Hello, Lucy here. I just wanted to take a moment to send a huge shout out to all of you tuning in from around the globe. We have listeners in the UK, Germany, Canada, the USA, Morocco, Spain, France, Singapore, India, Argentina, Australia. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I cannot thank you enough for all of your support with the show. Creativity knows no borders, and together we are building a community that celebrates inspiration in all of its forms. So, wherever you are, continue to take that road less travelled, and let's keep exploring this wilderness of creativity together. Thanks for listening. Stay wild.